Jericho was the first city that the Israelites came to when they crossed over into the land of Canaan. God gave to them a total victory and told them to go through the city and utterly destroy the people and all the livestock. But the gold and silver and bronze and iron were to be put into the treasury of the Lord. And this warning was given in Joshua 6:18. Keep yourselves from the things under the ban, lest you covet them. Covetousness has been called the least confessed sin. When did you ever hear someone admit to succumbing to this sin? Think about it on a personal level. When was the last time that you coveted something? Now, this may indicate that this is the least understood sin. Covetousness is not just desiring something that someone else has. It is desiring something that I have no right to have. In the Ten Commandments, Israel was commanded not to covet their neighbor's house, wife, servant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belonged to their neighbor, Exodus 20 and verse 17. But why? These things did not belong to them. They had no right to possess them. In Jericho, the reason that the gold and silver and iron things were banned was because they had been claimed by the Lord, and the Israelites were to keep themselves from those things that they had no right to. But what makes covetousness so least confessed and most misunderstood? Well, covetousness is a silent sin. Exodus 20 and verse 17 says, "Thou shalt not covet." And it was different than the other commandments. The other laws had to do with things that were outward and noticeable when you violated them. Things such as do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness against your neighbor. But the 10th commandment was one that was inward, having to do with the thoughts of mankind. In Jericho, Achan took some of the things under the ban because he first saw and then coveted them. Joshua 7, verses 19 through 21. Friends, all sin begins in the heart, and what silently starts on the inside is ultimately expressed in our actions. That's why covetous and covetousness are also translated as unjust gain, Proverbs 28 and verse 16. It's also at times translated as dishonest gain or as bribery. The desire to have something that you have no right to have leads to using dishonest means to obtain it. But what is your heart's desire? Is it something that you have a right to? If not, then don't even give a thought to it. Covetousness is also a subtle sin. Jesus said, "Beware and be on guard against every form of covetousness," Luke 12 and verse 15. Watch for and then guard yourself, because it is such a subtle sin. And friends, every form and every kind of covetousness tells us that this sin manifests itself in different ways. It's not just about money. It's about any type of attraction, any type of addiction that may be there. Things that lead us to coveting things that are not ours to have. But what are our motives? What are the intentions of our thoughts? The intentions of our heart? What are they speaking to us, and what are they displaying to the world around us? Now, these things can creep in very subtly. Therefore, we must be on guard, and to guard our eyes, and to guard our hearts from those things that are not ours to have, because covetousness is a very destructive sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins, but God called it deadly long before any man did. In 1 Corinthians 6, verses 9 through 10, it's listed alongside fornicators and idolaters and homosexuals and drunkards as those who will not inherit the kingdom of God. In Ephesians 5 and verse 5, it says, "No immoral or impure person or covetous man has an inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God." That which is silent and subtle in the end becomes very destructive and deadly. And friends, the only cure for covetousness is contentment. Be content with the things that you have in this life. Thank God for the blessings that you have received, and do not desire those things that are not yours to have. May God bless you. Thank you for joining us today.